Hello all, and thank you for attending today's DigiFabster 101 webinar. My name is Mike McCumber. I am a marketing manager here at DigiFabster. So today we have an excellent topic for you. We're going to discuss tips and tricks that'll make it easier for your customers to order parts. Application Engineer Michael Stoy is going to present today's topic. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So kind of the format for that is, if you want to ask a question, please enter it in the question function, which you'll find on the right side of your window. And we're going to read the questions out loud and answer them out loud so everyone can hear the answers. So yeah, feel free to participate by asking those questions in that question section. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Stoy to begin today's event.
Thank you so much, Mike. So what we want to discuss today and what we want to talk about today is how to get the most out of the widget, make it as easy as possible for customers to upload parts, order prints, and pay shops money. So what we're going to quickly gloss over is how to set up the e-commerce widget, and then we'll actually talk about our best tips and tricks. So to install the e-commerce widget is as simple as going into your backend, going over to the Install Widget tab. Then inside of this, all we need to do is copy this code. It's one line of code to install the widget as an iframe. We also have the ability to set it up as a floating button on any other web page by copying this text. And the other option that we have is we can set it up as a subdomain. If you have any questions about a subdomain, please feel free to reach out to us after this webinar. We can help set that up for you. Now that we have the widget set up, now let's talk about how we can make the most out of it. By default, our widget will look something like this, and the widget works in its full functionality, but we still highly recommend customizing it and making it your own. The big benefits of customizing it is that it's a white labeled solution, so this way customers won't feel that they're going to a third-party tool for quoting, they'll feel that's an in-house tool. This also will add to a more seamless experience for customers from going through your website, ordering the parts all in one place. It also is a more professional approach. In this case, let's say that we have a website that is colored in black and white. What we can do is we can fully customize the widget to match that color scheme by changing the CSS. The CSS of the widget is fully customizable. If you are familiar with CSS, again, you can customize it as is. If you are not familiar with CSS, we do have some help guides as well. So if you are not familiar with CSS, what we recommend is you can copy this code here. And all you need to do is change out the hex values. So if you want the upload button to be a different color, we can change that by just changing these values. Once you've made these changes, please send them over to one of our application engineers and we'll help set that up in your account. So now let's look at what a more customized widget will look like. So what we can do is we can enable some custom CSS. And as you notice, we were able to change all the colors. So we're in that grayscale theme. And again, it'll be more seamless for the customers. The other big advantage, again, is making it feel that it is a all-encompassing tool and it's not a third-party tool that customers are going to get their parts quoted. Now let's actually choose to upload a part, and we'll talk about some more customizations that we can do to optimize this workflow. So again, before we look at any CSS, let's look at some of the changes that we've already made. If we look at the FDM, we have a custom picture. And what we highly recommend is, as a shop, if you have examples of your work they're able to share, we highly recommend putting in real-world examples of your FDM prints or any other technology that you offer. It's a great way for customers to see what you're actually capable of machining. And again, it's a great incentive for them to say, I want a part that looks like this, and select that option. We do have the ability to also change the technology name. So in this case, if we wanted to name FDM something different, we can support that as well. Another big tool that I recommend is changing the description of the material. So again, this highly depends on what your customer base is looking at, but what we can enable is we can enable fully customization. So in this example, we can have a description of the technology itself. So maybe if your customers aren't fully knowledgeable about the 3D printing, we can help direct them to the right technology depending on what their needs are. So depending on the price, quality, and strength, or any other metrics that you can offer. On top of that, we can also now change the actual options as well. So instead of offering layer thicknesses in microns, we have the full ability to change these to be descriptive as well. And again, depending on your target customer, it might make sense to remove all these complicated engineering terms and keep it as simple as I want a low quality part. Let's look at how we can change these. Inside the backend, if we go to machines and materials, what we can do is we can go to our machine. And in this case, let's look at PLA. So inside of PLA, we have the material name, and this is the material name that we use in the backend. So it's if we wanted to put a brand name, we can keep that tracking for ourselves. The display name is what the customer is facing. So this is where we could rename this to be a tough plastic, or we can give a more descriptive title if maybe customers aren't fully knowledgeable about the different types of plastics. Scrolling down, what we really want to talk about are the layer thickness and also infill options. So again, depending on customer's use case, they may or may not know about the different types of layer thicknesses or the benefits to each option. So in the backend, we can automatically determine different layer thicknesses. So we can have 120 micron, 200, and 240 micron. And then what we can do is we can just change the names to be high quality, medium quality, and low quality for users. Depending on the order that they are set inside of DigiFabster, this is also the order that will appear right on the widget. So the option 1 will always appear first. So that's why we have our high quality first. Similarly, with our infill options, we can have different options as well. So we can have a 20%, 40%, 60%, and maybe 100%. Again, we can also have different names for these. So we can have hollow, standard, dense, and then solid parts. This is a great way to allow customers to select, even if they don't know what the difference between a 20 or 40% option is, they can select and figure out which option is best for their needs. Again, talking about what's best for customer needs, we have a tool built into DigiFabster to help customers select what is the right material, and that is our material guide. So what we can do is we can click this, and then what we can do is we can let's start a new guide right here. So what we can do is we can ask the customer, for example, if they're looking for visual or mechanical parts. Underneath the visual, we can choose to add additional questions, or we could just set materials. So for visual, we could recommend SLS. And for mechanical parts, for example, we could offer FDM. And all we need to do is click Set Materials, and then we can select the materials. So this is a great way to help direct customers to that right technology as well. Now we'll go back to the widget. And now that we can see that we've set up these high quality options and the filling options, we are all set to go. Another option that I'll quickly show is that all of the CSS will transfer over as well. So again, if we're working in a grayscale theme, what we can do is we can change all of the colors. So again, we're working in similar colors. The other option that we also have is the ability to hide or remove options for customers. So for example, if we're working with an SLS machine, we might not have multiple different material, layer thickness, or even infill options as well. So by default, with this SLS machine, we only offer 80 microns and we only offer 100% solid parts. Depending on the shop's preference, what we can do is we can display this to the end user. So this way, if they're comparing the different technologies between themselves, we can set this up. What I recommend though is we can set up this way to distinguish between the different technologies to a description. So they'll be able to see the different qualities and strength of parts directly through the description of the technology. Again, if we want, we can always display this information, or if we want to, we can also streamline the process, making it easier for customers to check out. So they can select that they want an SLS part. They'll be able to see the material, the standard priority, and then check out. If we want to streamline it even more, we have the ability to do so. Other options that we can enable on the widget are customizing other fields or adding in different options. So if you notice over here, one of the big things that we've changed in the setup is we've made the ask for help more prominent. This is a great use case of if customers are, again, maybe struggling with the tool or struggling trying to determine what they need for their part to be printed, we can make this more pronounced and make it easier for customers to reach out for help. So again, we can highlight that in white, making it more pronounced for customers. The widget is fully customizable again with CSS, so each shop can customize it to fit their needs. And we can also customize it so it feels unique to each shop. So it doesn't feel like just a cookie cutter template. On top of that, we can also change and customize the rest of the widget, including the checkout process. And if you have any questions about customizing or maybe displaying or removing different fields, please feel free to reach out to us after this webinar and we can give recommendations. The other thing I want to discuss about the widget CSS is that, again, it is customizable, but prior to setting it up, one of our application engineers will help walk you through and confirm functionality. So this is just to prevent a shop from maybe accidentally removing the next step button or an upload button. So again, we'll work with you to make your widget as customizable as possible, while also making sure that all the functionality is there for your customers. At this step, I want to also talk about some other customizations that we can do to again give this a full seamless experience for your shop. Depending on your pricing plan, with our white label service, we have the ability to fully customize the emails. So with this, we can change our outgoing email address. So this way it'll be more white labeled and we'll have all emails coming from a domain that you own. This is a great way to not only be more professional, but to have everything match your current setup or your setup prior to using DigiFabster. On top of that, we can also customize all of the email templates. So what we can do is we can change the order status notifications, or we can even change the emails and any explanation about the email. So we can change wording, add pictures, or any other description. On top of that, we can also customize each order notification. So what happens is when an order has been placed, we'll have multiple different statuses for that order. So by default, we can have statuses for the orders waiting for review, all the way to the order has been shipped and delivered. What we can also do is we can configure when customers get emails related to these statuses. By default, customers will get an email every single time the order has been updated. However, if you prefer, we can send out less emails to the customer. A typical workflow of this would be sending out an email notification when the order is currently being manufactured and when it's been shipped and then delivered. If you have any questions or want help setting any of this up, please again feel free to reach out after this webinar. I'm going to open up the floor to questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to also be talking about some other ways that we can help customize your tool to make it more streamlined for customers. One of the big things also, again, depending on customers' needs, is security. And with security, we offer multiple different options. If you're using our standard web interface, hello, I think I'm back. I'm sorry about that. My audio cut out there for a minute. As I was discussing, we have options to customize the tool even more when it comes to file policy. And this is a great way to allow customers or to better work with your customers to meet their needs. So what we can do is we can automatically keep models on our AWS server. And with this, it'll be more convenient if customers come to check out in 6 months, they'll be able to see that same order. The other option that we can do is we can also periodically purge models. So this is great if security is your concern. What we can do is we can make it so all models are deleted after a certain time. And again, this will just allow customers peace of mind of not letting them worry that their models are saved to the cloud somewhere. So you can also customize again to make it as streamlined as possible for customers, and we can meet their customers' needs when it comes to file policy. Are there any other questions so far in chat?
Yep, we do have a question actually. So is it possible to customize what fields are optional in the order submission? Specifically, if we want to be able to submit a firm offer without having the customer's billing address or phone number, can those be set to be skippable when using the internal quoting tool?
So by default, the information of the billing address is required because the billing address is also the shipping address. And what happens is, I can pull this up. So what happens is, depending on how the shop is set up, what will happen is the shipping rate will automatically be determined based on the customer's address and also the shop's location. So it is required to have a delivery address or a pickup address if the customer is going to be having the part shipped. If the part is a local pickup option, then they can pass this test because we don't need to know that information. But if we are shipping the part out, then we require a shipping address at the time of order completion. So again, if we are using the internal quotation tool, and if we want to bypass shipping, all we need to do is have it checked as that local pickup, and we're able to bypass that information. But if we do have it, so we want to ship out the package, we need that address prior to finishing or finalizing the order.
Great, thanks, Michael. And any other questions? Feel free to, we'll hang on here for another minute or two. Feel free to ask a question in the question tool. All right, final chance. And you can always, as Michael mentioned, reach out to us offline after this webinar if some questions do pop up.
And the easiest way, again, to reach out is always by email or instant messenger right on our site. So by just clicking this button in the bottom right-hand corner, you can click and send us a message, and Alistair, Peter, myself, or someone else in the DigiFabster team will get back to you as soon as possible.
All right. Well, I don't see any additional questions, Michael. I think we're good for today. We will send out a recording of this webinar so you can rewatch if you would like any of the workflows Michael discussed. And we will do this again coming up in November. We do this monthly, so stay tuned for an email or a social notification of the next DigiFabster 101 webinar. And thank you very much for attending today.
Have a great day.